Hey everyone, my name is Nicole Crystal. I'm one of the occupational therapists at Emerge Pediatric Therapy, here to talk to you today about a therapeutic strategy called collaborative problem solving. Collaborative problem solving is an approach that was created by a psychologist named Ross Greene, and it was designed to help parents, educators, therapists to work with children through challenging or difficult behavior. According to Dr. Greene, children who display challenging behavior are doing so because of a result in lagging skills rather than a behavior for the sake of behavior. He believes that he kind of coined this expression, if they could, they would. So if a child could make a different choice in any given moment to behave differently, they would. And if they don't, it's because they may be lacking some foundational skills to help them access their communication or figure out what the most appropriate response would be instead of an unhelpful behavioral response. So I'm going to talk you through his approach called collaborative problem solving and how you can use it to support your child or a child you may be working with who is experiencing a difficult behavior. So collaborative problem solving really works on the premise that we as adults are joining collaboratively with a child to help solve a problem together. This looks really different than the way that many of us often approach trying to solve problems with a child, which is often that if a child is exhibiting a problematic behavior, let's say throwing something, the plan A approach, as Dr. Greene calls it, would be that the caregiver is imposing their will upon the child. So that might sound like if you don't stop throwing in the next minute, we're going to have a timeout, we're going to lose a privilege. So that response is often not very effective in really reducing the behavior itself, or really seeking to understand why that behavior is taking place. Another approach that Dr. Greene talks about is Plan C, which is where we just sort of ignore the child's behavior, which may temporarily create some disruption in that behavior. We may see some changes to the frequency of that behavior. However, again, neither of these two approaches really help us create kind of long-term change in how children are responding to challenging moments in their lives. So Dr. Greene came up with this approach, which he calls Plan B, the collaborative problem-solving approach. And so I'm going to talk you through the three different components of this approach. So the first step is just called the empathy step. And it's really important that an adult working with a child in this particular step is really just offering empathy, offering understanding, offering just the kind of sitting with the child in the difficulty of whatever might be happening. So for example, in that example of throwing behavior, that step of the collaborative problem solving process might sound like, I can see that you're feeling really frustrated. It looks like you're having a really hard time controlling your body and you're feeling really frustrated. This is not the time where we attempt to start solving the problem together. This is simply a time to empathize, help your child understand that you are aligned with them and on their team. The empathy step also helps to kind of gather some more information about what could be happening for that child. If you have a more verbal child, a child who is able to understand more complex instructions and questions, you might say, I noticed that you're throwing some things. What's been going on for you? And really to be able to try to collect some more data at that point. The second step is when we start to really move into that problem-solving step. And the goal here is where we really start to hear from each party involved about some of the concerns that each of them are having. And so if you wanted to write this out, you might on a piece of paper create something simple like this where we've identified the problem might be throwing things. And in this step, this is a collaborative problem-solving process. So it really is meant to be done with the child and the caregiver together. So each party is going to have the chance to address what some of their concerns are with this behavior. So the child's concerns might be, I was feeling really angry and wanted to be heard. And the caregiver's concerns might be, I feel worried when you're throwing things that something might break. And then that might be upsetting to me or to you when we have to fix something that you really liked, or a favorite toy of yours got broken. So in this defining the problem step, it may often start with the phrase, my concern is, or I'm worried about. And I often find it helpful to have your child summarize what your concern is, and then you summarize your child's concern. That way you guys each are practicing getting to hear one another. And then finally is the invitation step. So this is where we brainstorm and we invite our child to brainstorm solutions to this problem. And really, there should be no judgment around these. They can be wacky solutions, they can be realistic solutions. In the end of this process of just brainstorming solutions, we welcome all of the ideas, and then we together have to agree on solutions that are realistic and achievable for both parties. So here it's important that we are restating the problem, summarizing our ideas of possible solutions, and then coming to a place where we can agree on a solution again that is reasonable and realistic for both parties. And then we can write it down and make a plan for how to achieve our solutions. So this method can be just really helpful in reinforcing the relationship that you have with your child. It's going to allow your child to feel really empowered and supported by you, and it's going to prevent a lot of power struggles between you and your child, because it really is a process that is about hearing both people's voices and finding a solution that works for both parties. For examples on seeing this in action, there are several great videos on YouTube watching people participate in the collaborative problem-solving process. But if you have concerns about your child and their ongoing development, if your child is having some ongoing difficulties managing behavior or having really big reactions to problems going on at home, please do reach out to us at Emerge Pediatric Therapy for additional support and help. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope collaborative problem solving can be useful to you and your family. Bye.